my name is Karim. Last name is Ahmed, but my full name is Karim Kamel Ibrahim Ahmed. And then I'm actually a pharmacist back home in Egypt. And I decided 8 years ago that, it's time for me to go to another country and, try something new from scratch. I wanted to try something from scratch on my own and make a living on my own without any assistance from anybody to see how I'm gonna succeed on my own. Without your parents' help, without, family help. And what happened is I made that decision just right after I graduated from college, even though I was not ready back then. And because, when you graduate in college in Egypt, military is mandatory. Yeah. So I had to go to military service. Okay. So that took like maybe 2 years of my life, in military, which was great experience because the old me who entered military is not me now. So how everything happened for a reason, like they say, which is really true. Yep. So the entire journey has been like that. Me going out from college, a very innocent kid who's all he knows is academic, all he knows is studies. And, that's how it's been all my life. Growing up, I used to have like 2 friends. My parents are very protective. They like, you're studying all the time. All I knew is academics, right? And how to like get good grades in school, how to have like that A+ GPA. That's what I'm used to my whole life. And then when I reached college and graduated, I was like, I didn't have any personality kind of at that time. I was like this little chubby kid, who's like scared of everything kind of thing. Yeah. So for me, I needed a change. And then, when it happened, I went to military. First, I was pissed because I felt like it's a waste of time. Yeah. Okay. But then going through it, it was amazing experience. Amazing. It changed my body. I lost a lot of weight in military. I learned discipline. I learned how to really work hard. Because before that, I was studying my whole life. Yeah. So I didn't, even when I had a job, it was in a hospital, or I had a job in a pharmacy, which is not really, it's not like hard labor job. So in military, I was working in, after the training, the 45 days training, which was really rough. They used to wake you up at like 5 a.m. and you have to stay in the sun till like noon doing all these training.
And I heard that sun in Egypt is no joke. Like
it's no joke.
I have a good friend who's from there, and I'm just like, it was because he wants to take me. I always wanted to go. It was like, that sun is brutal.
I love our military because, to be honest, it teaches you everything you need to be taught that you were not able to get when you were younger. If your parents were taking good care of you, you're not going to learn this. Nobody's going to teach you. So now it's time for you to learn, how to be independent, how to be self-disciplined, how to take care of yourself, how to, to grow up as a man,
Yeah.
So by the time I learned so much in military, by the time I finished, I was like, you know what? I'm ready to go and try something new. And I remember the first time I told my parents that I wanted to go to America, my mom immediately started crying. It's like, oh my God, I can't believe I'm losing you. I'm like, hold on a second. So my parents, they didn't really...
child or
No, I am the oldest of 5.
No. Oh, 5, okay. So
I'm the oldest. I have 1 brother and 3 sisters. They're all amazing. I have amazing siblings. They all went to, graduated from college. 2 lawyers. 1 is graduated from med school, and the oldest sister I have, she finished economy. So they all went to college, they all graduated, and they all educated.
Yeah.
But for me, being the oldest, and my parents, like now I'm turning 34. I'm actually turning 30. I'm 34, turning 35. So for me, I started this journey late. I started when I was 27 when I came here.
Oh, okay.
So 27 is kind of late,
Well,
depends on your, I guess.
No, I understand what he's saying because it's late in a sense because he had all this knowledge and being sheltered and, was figuring out, breaking all these layers that was put on him. And then usually that comes like being a rebel around maybe 18 or 19 or whatever. Like, I'm going out. You was like at 27, which is around the age was like, I'm not going to change. I'm pretty set or whatever. And you was like, no,
I was searching for that change. I was searching. And you know what? Like they say, I'm a kind of a late bloomer, but that journey has been amazing. Like amazing.
I could relate to that.
But everything added up to that moment. So like everything served purpose
absolutely.
Up to that. You wasn't ready at those other years. Like everything you had to go through prepared you to be like, yo, let's do it.
Yeah. I always tell people, if I didn't go to military, I would have never been able to do the things I've done here when I first moved here. I would have never had the courage to just leave, with one suitcase, $600 and a tourist visa, and just land at JFK first time flying.
Oh wow!
11-hour flight, not knowing anybody here.
That's
what
I want to hear.
Okay, that was the story. That was the story when you was giving me my vaccine shot, Pfizer boy over here now.
Oh, so, yeah. When that's what grabbed your attention.
When you shared that, because you was telling me the whole story, and then you said that, look, I came over here. Well, we got to get into it. I'm building it up. You came over here. You came over here with $600, a suitcase, and pretty much hardly no destination, no plan.
That's it.
And I'm like, wait, what?
Did you know? Okay.
So I want to know. Yeah. So I want to know. What was the plan before you got here? That's what and what? Because that shit is crazy.
How did you know where to go? Like, all that.
So here's what happened, right? So I finished my military. I started working, and then I told my parents what I want to do. They said, my mom was crying. She said, "No, I don't think this is a good idea. You can just stay here. We'll open a pharmacy for you." I'm like, but that's why I don't want to stay here, because you want to do everything for me.
Yeah.
How about me doing something for myself, starting something on my own that I feel, I succeeded on my own. I don't want anything done for me, because that's the culture we live at, in Egypt. So in Egypt, you have middle class, you have high class, you have poor, but kind of like always family takes care of you.
Yeah.
That's the mentality there. We're very protective. So family is everything in Egypt. That, or in the Middle East in general. Family is everything, and I know a lot of people here, shares the same feeling about family. So for us, family they do everything for you, which is kind of, I've always wondered, you going through a lot, doing everything for us. How about we do something, So I said, I told my mom, I was like, you know what, I really want to do something on my own. It's time for me. And you know what? Here's what I'm going to tell you. I have nothing to lose. Exactly. I have my degree here in Egypt. I was a pharmacist already. I was like, the worst case scenario, I'm going to fail and I'm going to come back. Yep. So my mom said, well, I hope you fail, because she doesn't want me to be anyways. And then she's like, well, are you going to go there? And because you watch American movies. So their idea, and my mom's like, she's an angel. And my dad as well. But my dad traveled before to Arab countries. He travels the Gulf area. He was working when we were young. So he knows. He knows the travel. He knows what it is. So they said to me, well, why don't you go to Saudi Arabia? Because my uncle is there. I was like,
more family than no.
But that's 2 hours away from here.
You want
that's not traveling.
Yeah.
No, I want to go to America and do something on my own. That's what I'm going to do. That's what I decided. So I applied for...
the visa.
So at that time, it's still going on, but it's a little bit limited now. So America used to have shortage in pharmacy. So what they used to do is to bring foreign pharmacy graduates, allow them to take exams. It's called foreign pharmacy graduate exams. Then you have to pass some English test, which is TOEFL, test of English as a second language. And then you become certified as an American grad. You do your internship. And then whichever state you're at, you just take the board exam, you become licensed as an American pharmacist. But the only difference that we didn't go to school here. So you have to go through these steps, and if you pass, that's it. You become an American grad. You become a pharmacist, basically, which what I became. It took me a while to do it, but I did it.
You did it.
So basically, I already searched all that. I applied for the exams, and then I went to the embassy to get the visa. I was approved for the visa as a tourist visa. Because so when you take these foreign exams, you can only take it in America. So I couldn't take that exam in Egypt, which is great because in Egypt or in the Middle East in general, it's very hard to get the US visa. Like you gotta be really like filthy rich, or you gotta be somebody who travels the world. And for me, my passport was brand new. I've never traveled. You know, I've never been anywhere.
Yeah.
So for me, it was like all new. So I'm going to the embassy. You know, I told them what I'm doing. I was like, it's a little bit weird there because when you go to the embassy, you got to prove to them that you're going to come back.
Oh, wow.
I know. Why? Because, you know, America, anybody can come here on a tourist visa and just stay.
Yeah.
True.
You know? And New York is the best example for that. Like half New York is like that.
Yeah.
So, which is great because it gives opportunity, but also they try to protect America, which I understand. So for me, I said, well, here it is. I want to get the American license because it's very well appreciated in Egypt. Even though, like, I really never thought I'm gonna work with that license back home, but I did think that I can take my license, and if you go to the Gulf area, you will be treated, you know,
like royalty,
as amazing. You will be treated like a foreigner. Like I would be treated like an American, even though I wasn't at that time. You know what I mean? So I told them that. They gave me the visa. It was a 6 months. So it's a 5-year visa, but you can only stay for 6 months.
Okay.
And then I booked my flight ahead. I did everything ahead before I went to the embassy, and I was approved for the visa. And then I didn't tell my parents at that point what I was doing. I just went through it. And then after I bought that and I got approved for the visa, I told my parents, okay, so I have the American visa now, and I booked my flight, and I'm leaving in a couple of weeks.
Ooh.
Just like that.
And she cried immediately.
Of course, yeah. Like, I was like, oh my God, you're going to go to America. You're not going to come back. I'm not going to see you again, am I? I'm like, most likely you're going to see me again, yes. Just let me go and figure it out first.
So then you touched down over here, and now you have the suitcase, you have the $600.
How did you know where to go?
And a tourist visa and my degree. So the only thing I knew, I
did
booked
you have
my exams.
Did you have an apartment already planned or no?
Yeah, like.
Okay, so...
And no friends. You had no friends over here, too. So
I had no friends. The only person who came here... I had a friend of mine, not like close friend, but a far friend, you know?
Yeah.
But he was doing the same exact thing.
Oh, okay.
Right? But he was doing it through the church.
Okay.
Which I was like, oh, so you're going to America, right? That's what I want to do, too. He said, yes, so this is what I'm doing. And then I used to like get information from him. And then he came here maybe 7-8 months before I came here. So he was always ahead of me. And I told him when I got approved, I was like, hey, I'm going to come to America. What should I expect? What should I do? You know, blah, blah, blah. He's like, okay, if you come here, he was living in a basement in Bayonne City. So Bayonne City in New Jersey.
New Jersey, yeah.
It's like all Egyptians there. So
okay.
It's perfect. You know, if you're a foreigner, for a foreigner, you come here and you don't even have to speak English there.
Yeah.
It's perfect. You know, so you don't feel like homesick. You don't feel, you know, that kind of feeling. Okay. So I came here. He said, okay, I'm renting this basement for $750. So you're going to pay like $325. It was a small basement, you know.
Yeah.
We were sleeping on the floor, to be honest. You know, it's just, there's no bed, there's nothing.
Yeah.
But I didn't care. I was going to do whatever it takes to succeed.
Yeah.
So I came here.
How was that for you, having pretty much everything and now sleeping on the floor? Did that ever like did it affect you anyway? You was like, Mom, this is part of the grind.
No, I'm gonna be honest with you. There was so many times, you know, when I had this this feeling like, oh, I should, you know, because remember, like, you're coming from a foreign country where everything is given you.
Right, that's what I'm saying. You had this life already made. And now you're coming and you're like,
nothing's given to
now
you.
You don't have anything right now. Now you just,
yourself.
You're on the floor
not
like
for
grinding.
yourself.
At any moment, did you ever feel like, not that it was beneath you, but like, you know, contemplating like,
so
maybe
many
I should
moments.
go buy, because now you had everything, and now you're on the floor, sleeping on the floor with another person that like that kind of know that you kind of know, and you're trying to figure things out. So now you're like pretty much rock bottom per se.
Yeah. Rock bottom, you're starting from scratch, and that's the whole idea. You know, you come here with that dream, you want to start from scratch. This is what you should expect. I'm gonna be honest with you. There were so many times in the first 3.5 years, because it took me almost 3 years to get my license. That's a long time. You know, during that time, I was doing crazy stuff for me that I've never done before. You know, and it's like you said, sometimes you feel it's below you because you're a pharmacist in your own country. So why I'm doing this? Why I'm why I'm delivering laundry or doing all this stuff? You know, but then sometimes I felt defeated, But I always sat down. Sometimes I cried, and there's no shame in that. We all cry.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But I always sat there and I said, why did you really come here? Did you really? I was hungry for that success. It's kind of like I wanted to prove something for my family.
Okay.
Yeah, you
like,
want to prove to yourself. You really want to prove to
yourself. And myself as well, of course. But it was really more that I wanted to show my family, especially I love, my family so much. I would do anything for my family. So for me, just my siblings see me succeeding like that, it will give them a lot of motivation. It would show them, no, it's not impossible. Because before I moved here, there were a lot of people who would doubt me and be like, why are you going there? Nobody succeed. You know what people would tell me? They would tell me, they don't hire foreign graduates, right? You got to be American. And I'm like, okay, half America's not American. So I don't know what you're talking about. Literally, half of them are not. So I'm like, I used to listen to people. And I'm that kind of person because I'm a Gemini. So I would listen from here and just everything goes out the other ear. And I end up doing what I want to do. That I've been always like that. Even when I was a child, my mom always used to tell me like I'm very stubborn. And I know that, but it's all for the good. If you believe in something, you gotta do it. Otherwise, you would never know. If you're gonna fail and just leave, oh my God, you're gonna live with the guilt for the rest of your life.
Yeah,
I remember you shared with me. You shared with me briefly that when you was over here, you said you had jobs. You said you was working at a grocery store before you were in the position that you're in now. I want to know what was the breakthrough for you? Because I'm assuming you said you've been there, you were doing odd jobs for like 3 years.
No, so what happened with me is like, I lived, I went to stay with my friend over there. I paid half the rent in that basement. And then my exam was 2 weeks ahead. So I took my exam, I passed. I passed my pharmacy exams the first time, which was great for me. And then you have to take an English exam called Test of English as a Second Language, TOEFL. And you have to get certain scores, right? So I took that test 6 times in order for me to get the scores that they required.
Wow.
I know people who like, after the first time they were like, or the second, they'll be like, oh, no, that's not going to work.
That's it. Yeah.
But no, if you're going to do that now, what you're going to do in the future? If, how are you going to teach your kids? How are you going to like, how are you going to be an example for your family? If you're going to just give up on something like on an exam, like it's stupid, So I kept trying. And during that time now, that 600, they last that long. I was like, because before I moved here, I was like, oh my God, $600, because that's a lot of money in Egypt, right? So each 100 is 1,600 there because whatever the dollar is 16 times there. 600 was actually a lot of money for me, for somebody who just graduated. And I thought I'm gonna come here and I'm gonna stay like 3-4 months with the 600.
But your rent was already gone in 2.
That was a week.
After a couple of weeks of eating,
one trip to Whole Foods, and
please! I didn't even go to Whole Foods.
Rent was already
McDonald's. I was going to Subway. I discovered Subway. The first time I discovered a Subway, I was like, "Oh my God, $5 a huge sandwich! That's amazing!" So I started looking for jobs. So funny thing is, I found out an agency called Ilsa's Agency. It's that Spanish sweet lady that it was in Flushing. So you go there and you pay them $80 and she finds you a job. Obviously, without a paperwork, nothing. It's that kind of job, but it's labor work. So either you go to a deli, a laundromat, a restaurant, So she sent me to a laundromat and first, I was going dressed like this, So the first exchange, she looked at me with the Spanish accent, and she's like, "Honey, do you think you can do this?" And I'm like, "I would do anything." She's like, "You don't look like somebody who would work there." I'm like, "You know what? I'm hungry for work. I would do anything. I will lick the damn floor if I have to." So she sent me to the laundromat, and I went there. They were paying me like $5 per hour. I was like, "Oh, that's great. That's enough." When you rent it 300, so $5 per hour is enough. But you just gotta go to Dunkin' Donuts and eat in Subway. It's great. You will manage, and that's how it is. To be independent, and that's the feelings that I wanted to get. I'm not gonna call my family and be like, "Hey, can you send me money?" Because that kills the whole idea.
Right.
Like my mom would call me and she's like, oh my God, you're probably not eating. You're probably like starving. I'm like, you know what? In my head, I was like, you know what? Yeah, I am starving, but I'm not going to tell you because first, I don't want you to worry about me. Second, I'm on a mission and I know I can do it.
This was very fulfilling. It was of self-discovery for you.
Yeah.
You know,
I did things I never thought I would do, you know, like doing the laundromat, delivering laundry, folding laundry, picking up dirty laundry. For me, picking up dirty laundry, that's stuff for me. I was like, I can't believe I'm doing this. But
picking up shitty underwears and stuff like that. Like
it was more like, it was more, and dealing with people too, like, and you know, all this interaction for me was great because, you know, first it improved my language because I've always thought I can't speak. You know, and I came here, I was so scared to speak to anybody because I thought, oh my God, my English is not good, blah, blah, blah. And then when I speak, people are like, you can speak, you're fine. I'm like, yeah, but I have an accent. And then I realized that's normal here, obviously. You know, I didn't know that. You know, I didn't know that. I thought, oh my God, because I have an accent, people are gonna like treat me bad or whatever. Nothing like that happened. It was great. I met amazing people on that journey. And then after 6 months in the laundromat, they let me go for some reason, which I never knew. But she said to me, that lady, she said, oh, sorry, I didn't know that you didn't have a paperwork. I was like, well, I'm not illegal. I'm still legally staying, you know, because I never broke my visa or anything. After my 6 months ended on the tourist visa, before it ended, I applied for an English school called Spanish American Institute in Times Square. And then they switch your visa from tourist to student for 5 years.
Oh, that's great.
And all you have to pay is $40 for that school a week. And then you go to school, you have to attend maybe like 3 classes, you know, every other day. So it was not bad, you know.
Not bad.
And everybody in that school learned how to speak English. It's just they needed a legal way to stay in America.
Okay.
You know, so they all like either professionals or people who graduated from mid school, pharmacy, engineers. They were all really like mind-blowing, you know, successful people, but they just on that journey to discover how they're gonna do it here. How's he gonna make it happen? You know?
What did you learn about your personality? Because you said the first, like before you went into the army, you're totally different, and then when you came out and coming over here, it's 2 different people. And I think you allowed yourself to go within and, you know, explore and see what you like, what you don't like. So what did you learn about your personality that, you know, that you was like, wow, I don't know, like I actually like theater. I like going to plays. I actually like talking to people. Like, what did you learn about yourself in that process about like who you are once you broke out?
Well, first, I my whole life I've been an introvert, somebody who, you know, very close. Like I don't speak to people. I don't reach out because I've been always that person who, you know how academics are, like people who all I know is books. That's all I know. That's all I know is books. You know, and for me, that's what military did to me. It changed me from an introvert to an extrovert. And then being here and started feeling comfortable, I became insanely extrovert. Like I'll be walking the street, I'm like, hi. You know, like I became that person was like
extra extroverted.
like sometimes it's too extra, you know, which is great because I got to make so many friends here in very short time. I had to make, you know, I got so many connections, which is great because all these people were watching the journey, you know, they were watching the journey. And every time, you know, all Facebook friends or, you know, Instagram followers, whatever, people see the journey and they see where you came from and where you at and where you know, what you've become now, you know? So I personally think it inspired a lot of people, you know, even later, you know, people who were working with me in the Delhi, it inspires them to go back to school. You know, after they got the paperwork, it inspires them to go back to school. They're like, you know what? I don't want to work in a Delhi anymore. I want to do something more.
There's something that you showed them that there's more to life and there's more to them. Like
there
you don't
more.
have you don't have to stay at the Delhi, and that's fine. That job is fine, but you don't have to stay here. You don't have to.
It's not the only thing. You can do more with your life if you want to. You just gotta make that decision and work towards it. So I was in that Delhi. Yeah,
you're also showing not only people from another country, but you're also showing people here that don't don't give up. Have this drive, because a lot of people here get comfortable, and a lot of people here get comfortable with the fact that we have all these opportunities here and we don't take them. And the people from other countries like yourself come here and you take it full force, and you succeed within yourself and whatever you want to do. But people here are like, they complain, and I'm like, but look at the people from the country. They're taking all these opportunities that we.
But see, they complain because they haven't seen anything different. They complain because they haven't. So my idea about this is, yes, there is a lot of people here who take their life here for granted. But I'm sorry, you have not been to a third world country and see how people grow up.
Yep.
You know, you did not live, you know, like my family are doing well, but when we were younger, we were not. We were living 8 people in 1-bedroom apartment. I used to sleep on the floor so my sister could get a bed. You know, this is how we grew up. But my dad worked hard, you know, and they went from 1-bedroom apartment to a house. They went from one house to having 2 houses. You know, they worked literally their asses off, you know, the same expression we use here. They worked their asses off. And me seeing them doing that for us, I was like, I gotta be part of this. You know, I appreciate everything you're doing for me, but I gotta be part of this now that when I'm gonna be as a person, you know.
You wanna pave your own story. You want to
you want to pave, and you know what I did? I went from that laundromat 6 months. I went to a deli. I stayed in that deli I started as a delivery, a stock boy. I was doing, you know, the fridge. And I worked there from 6 p.m. to 6 a.m. That was the funny part because
great. Yeah. Overnight.
That was the funny part is I moved after 6 months from being in America, like just fresh off the boat. 6 months later, I left that basement in Bayonne City because I needed to be here in the city. I need to be close to everything. Because if you're gonna do these kind of jobs, it's so much in the city. You can do it in New Jersey. You know, you can do it in like Florida or another state. You have to come to Manhattan. That's where all the delis need people. That's where everybody, you know, if you're looking for a job, just go to a deli and say, hey, do you need somebody to work? That's how easy it is. You know, so I moved here with 8 Egyptians, 8 in 2-bedroom apartments, 2-bedroom with bunk beds, 1 bathroom. And 2 rats.
And what?
Two rats. Oh, there were 2 rats in that apartment.
So it was 10.
Nuts.
10 tenants.
10 roommates.
They were cute, but I was terrified every night I go to bed. I stayed there for 2.5 years in a row.
Where you
and
was
I
that
used
in
to
Manhattan?
cover myself head to toe with the blanket because I'm so scared that the rat's gonna bite me, you know, and I get some kind of disease or something. It was the funniest thing.
But you guys couldn't kill it. It's like 8 of you guys.
It was 2 rats. What did you?
You couldn't like find a mouse trap or something like.
Well, we had mouse traps. We had. There was like smart. This apartment was so old. It was in Queensboro Plaza. You know, just by off the station of Queensboro Plaza.
Gotcha. Okay.
The best part about this, it was affordable because I was only paying $300.
Okay.
And that's all I was able to afford at that time.
Yeah.
You know, so for me, $300, that was a lot of money.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
It's a huge difference now, but back then it was a lot of money. Yeah. So I was like, you know what, I'm gonna do it. Bunk beds. But see, what prepared me for this was military.
Yeah.
That's true. Yeah.
You know, if I did not go through that step, I would have never been able to do that. You know, because a lot of people would be like, no, I'm not doing that. 1 bathroom, you know, for all these people, you have to wait in line.
Were you at least on the top so the rat won't?
No, I was not on the top. That's a problem. But anyways, me and that rat became friends later, so it's fine. You know, I got used to it. I was like, whatever. I was thinking so much about my journeys that I didn't even have time to think about these things. I was like literally working day and night, trying to find a way. First, how I'm gonna get my paperwork. You know, I'm now on a student visa. How I'm gonna get my paperwork? How I'm gonna get into a pharmacy? Period.
How did you?
You know, I'm still a foreigner.
Yeah. How were you able to break into that now?
Yeah.
Break it. Whatever journey you had in Egypt as a pharmacist, how did you finally break in over here now being a pharmacist?
So the first thing I did, and which probably most likely whatever, you know, anybody who comes here, they will try the same thing, is after I got my certificate, so I passed my exams, I became certified as an American grad, right? Okay. So now it becomes a part where I have to get my internship. I have to do internship, right? So I got my certification, and then I started looking for an internship. But at that time, I was also looking for a sponsorship because I needed that H1 visa, the work visa. Okay. I literally emailed at least 300 to 400 pharmacies, hospitals, all the chains you can imagine. And guess what? I was not emailing only in New York. I was willing to go anywhere. Alaska. I emailed Alaska. I emailed every single state you can think of. So it was so funny because they all sent me kind of the same response. They're like, you know what? We would hire you, but the only thing we cannot provide you is a work permit. That's when I knew that I have to find another way.
Gotcha.
I had to find something else. So I went to Craigslist and I posted an ad, on Craigslist that I'm willing to volunteer in a pharmacy with no payment. And I put my certificate there.
Okay.
I wrote a little bit about myself, my resume, where I worked before when I was back home. And this guy contacted me and he said, "Oh, come for an interview in the Bronx." That was the email.
What?
I was like, okay, this sounds like somebody's going to kill you. Right
now. Exactly.
I was like, so I totally ignored that email, right?
Yeah.
And then maybe 2 days later, I was coming back from work and he sent me another email with the same thing, but he put his phone number. I was like, okay, let me give it a try. Let me call him. So I called him.
That sounds better. We should have did that for
So I called him and we spoke over the phone. His name is Raj. He's a pharmacist. He owned a pharmacy back, over in the Bronx. And he said, okay, you know what? You can come here for an interview. So I felt a little bit safe,
Okay.
I went there. I interviewed. I told him my story. I was like, bro, this is what's going on. I'm certified now, but I just need that experience. So I'm willing to volunteer here with no payment. I already know the medicine. I just need to know the insurance. I need to know how you run a pharmacy here because it's completely different than Egypt. Egypt, you don't need a prescription. You can walk in and get whatever you want.
Oh, okay.
Like at that time, we didn't have insurances. Now they run insurance, they run claims. We didn't have that at that time. That was 2012. That was 8 years ago. A lot changed since that time. A lot. So I started volunteering in his pharmacy. So I used to go there from 10 a.m. till 4 p.m. and then go to the deli from 6 p.m. till 6 a.m.
Wow. Monday to Friday?
Yeah.
Wow.
Damn.
No, the deli I was working 7 days a week because I need some money.
And then the internship.
Remember, exams are expensive, actually. That's one thing I noticed about America. Like that foreign pharmacy exam was like $950. That's a lot of money. That's a lot of money. I'm sorry. And each time you take that English test was $150. That's a lot. That's a lot of money for people who don't have money.
At any point, did you ever go back to your family when you was like running out of money or you were short for the exam? Like, did you?
No.
Or you just said,
I didn't. I just
no,
worked
because
hard.
he's adding more to the story as they're like, yo, I'm now he's working free at the internship, and now he's doing 6 p.m. to 6, and then he's telling me now that there's $900 for exam. I'm like, and he has a rent and he has to support 2 rats. I'm like,
that's a lot.
I'm like, yo, at any point did you say, yo, can you throw me like $50? Like, mom, like,
throw me like $50. No, I didn't
crazy.
because you know what? I really wanted to do this on my own.
Yeah, you did.
And I'm glad I did because I felt that success later, even though I didn't feel it back then
right away,
because I was going through what I was going through, but I felt it later, when it actually happened and I actually went home, I felt all that.
Yeah. How was that? How was that moment now where you're like, you made it, the journey, that goal of like, now I'm a pharmacist and I'm working and I'm getting paid. And now you go back home and you bring the 2 rats and you show your mom. Like, how was that? How was that story now? You talking to your parents like, look, I did.
Well, let me tell you. So first they were against it before I came here, right?
Yeah.
But me taking step by step, every time I succeeded, I would call my parents. I'm like, oh my God, I passed this exam. Oh my God, I passed this exam too. Oh my God, I got my intern, until like literally I found the pharmacy on Craigslist. And then what happened is I was working at the pharmacy volunteering with no money. It took me 3 months doing that.
Mm-hmm.
But obviously I was overworking myself until one day I passed out in a subway.
Oh, wow.
But I don't tell my family these parts. I don't want them to worry about me because I'm 1,000 miles away. My family would literally be like, you have to come back now.
Yeah.
And I didn't want to come back at this point. Yeah. So I passed out in the subway and it was literally my first time in my life to pass out, and the next thing I know, people were waking me up outside the subway, outside the train on the station. And they're like, are you okay? I'm like, what happened? So apparently I passed out and I started becoming feverish, and tired, and I didn't know what's going on. And then I realized I had like a little lump, in my gum here. So I don't have insurance. I didn't have anything, so I didn't know what to do. So I asked some of my Egyptian friends. They said, oh, there is this Egyptian dentist, he's a dentist in like Flushing.
In a basement.
So go to him. So I went to him. I told him, listen, he's Egyptian like me. So he understood. I was like, this is what I'm doing. And I don't have insurance. He's like, don't worry. So I paid like, maybe $50 for the assistant. He checked me. He said I had an infection in my wisdom tooth because I never removed my wisdom tooth. And I went back to the pharmacy where I volunteer, and I told him what happened. He said, okay, I'm going to give you the antibiotics, because you've been volunteering here with no money. So he gave it to me for free. Nice. And at that time, he was like, you know what? You can leave the deli. You're good enough to run this pharmacy now. And that's when I left the deli and I became a full-time in the pharmacy, even though I was just a technician. But still, for me, it was like, at least I'm in my field,
That was, that was a big step.
Yeah, that was a big step.
And I went from that pharmacy and I said, how much you going to pay me? He said, $5 per hour. I was like, you know what? That's fine.
At least
I was like, that's fine. You pay me $5 per hour, I'll take it. And then I went from that $5 per hour while I'm hustling still to go to another pharmacy in Astoria for $10 per hour. So see, now you become going up. And then when I got my intern permit, this guy was able to hook me up with the H-1 visa and all this stuff. Okay. So I actually had a work permit at that point.
Oh, great.
And then I went on Indeed.com and I applied for one job. It was a pharmacy intern position open in Huntington Hospital in Long Island. I had no clue what Long Island is or where that is.
Yeah.
So they called me after I applied. It was the only one job I applied for. And they said, the first thing they asked me is, they said, are you comfortable with the commute? I was like, yeah, I live in Long Island. He's like, no, you live in Long Island City. That's completely different. And me, I'm like, still a foreigner, I don't know.
Yeah.
So I said, you know what? I'm going to tell you this. I don't know. I don't care where you're at. I'm going to come to you. I'm going to do this. Because it was also like my dream to work in a hospital. So I went there, I interviewed, I got the job, and I was with them as an intern for a full year.
Wait, how did you get there now? Like, what did
An
you...
hour,
what
the Long Island Railroad,
what did you have to do? What did you have
basically,
to do?
Okay, I was a mess that day. So I looked up the train schedule. I thought I can do the train. It took me a while to figure out the train. And I realized, okay, this train, I go to Jamaica and you take the train there that goes to Huntington. Okay, I went to Jamaica, I missed the train.
Oh.
And I'm like, you know what? At this point, I don't care. I found a car and I was like, can you take me to this address? It cost me like $100. And back then, $100.
Hell yeah.
That was a lot of money. Yeah. I was like, okay, I don't think I'm going to eat this week.
How many Subway sandwiches is that?
I was like, you know what? I don't think I'm going to eat this week, but I don't really care because I want that job. Yeah. And I went there. I interviewed on a Wednesday afternoon. Thursday afternoon, they called me. They're like, you're with us. I was like, oh my God. For me, that was a dream came true, just to work in a hospital.
That's what you needed. Yeah.
How far was I was like, what, 2 hours to commute?
It was an hour, 15 minutes each way.
Okay.
But then you have to take a cab or a bus from the train station to the hospital. And on the way back, you have to really adjust your schedule because the train's not running. It's not a subway. It's not running every 10 minutes,
Oh, it's running every hour.
It's running on certain times. So you got to be really careful. So I slept on that train station so many times after I left my shift in the hospital.
Wow.
Oh my God.
So many times. I just leave because I was working sometimes 4 till midnight because they give me a position in the ER after like a couple months.
Oh, wow.
And I shadowed, I told them I want to shadow the clinical pharmacist. That's how I got this position, because I was an intern doing a technician job. And then I asked them, I said to the director, is it okay if I come one day while I'm off? I don't want you to pay me or anything. I just want to shadow the clinical pharmacist to see what she's doing. They were like, okay, no, but these people were amazing. You don't understand. That hospital was the best thing ever happened in work-wise to me. Like that staff, the directors, everybody there was just and from another world. I always describe them from another world.
Oh.
The sweetest people I've ever met in my life. They were like unreal.
What's beautiful. Unreal and it's inspiring, honestly, is just hearing you talk, because it's like like the shit that I'm hearing you. I did some hard shit in my life that where I had to go. But there was some things I said, no, I was like, I'm not traveling that far. And you was like, you did it. Or you slept in the hall, like you slept in a tree. And it's just like, and what's so beautiful about you and so humbling is that when you speak about it, it's not from a place of like, yo, I had to sleep on the train. I had to make these sandwiches. You're like, I folded dirty laundry. And then after that, it's like this excitement and this and gratitude and fulfillment in doing that. While other people were like, they'll talk about the, yo, I remember when I had to do shit, bro. Like,
but other people didn't come from where I came from, you know.
But that's what I'm saying. Like you did. Okay, you did come from very hard stuff, and then you guys were middle class and were well off. But you decided to go back to the bottom again, and then at any moment quit, right? But you talking about the story, I would sense that you would have moments of not disgust, but like, oh man, like PTSD. But no, you're like, yo, then I had 2 rats.
No, it was not
2 rats. Was there any moment that you were just like, just a tad like, oh man, I want to go home? Like, was there any moment like you just
there were. I'm gonna be honest with you. There were a lot of moments where I had to sit down and be like, is this really gonna happen? Because remember, like me going through this journey, there were a lot of unknowns, a lot of
definitely
dark. All you see is dark. I did not so many times I did not see the other side. You know,
of course.
But I just could not see myself going back, and you know, and that I would have never been able to live with that feeling, going back and being a failure. Because for me, that's if I'm not gonna do it, if I'm not gonna succeed, I'm a failure. That's what it is. Yes, I'm gonna go back home and I will be fine, but mentally I'm not gonna be fine. You know what I mean? But also you have to understand, like, I noticed something about New York or America in general. When you work hard, you get something. So the harder I worked, you know, and I've been really working hard, because like my first 4 years, I was probably working 7 days a week all the time. Like I've never had time off. So I was working really hard, but every time something happened, you know, there is another, like every time a door closed, there was another door open out of nowhere. You know, it's like some like I always say my mom was, you know, was watching over me, even though she's not here, she's back home. But I've always said, like, my mom has to be like praying for me or something, because there's something watching over me in my darkest moments.
Were you religious or spiritual? Have any faith that kept you going too, or you was just, you know?
Well, no, I believe. Yeah, of course, I'm Muslim. You know, I believe in my religion and everything, but also, you know, like as my religion said, like you work hard and you gotta get something. That's you know the slang way to say it. You work hard and don't worry, because eventually, even if it doesn't come now, it's gonna come later.
And that's exactly what happened. When it's meant, not when you want it.
Yeah, not when you want it. When it's meant for you, you're gonna get it. You know, and that's exactly what happened. You know, I went from laundromat to Delhi to, you know, a pharmacy in the Bronx to a pharmacy in Astoria to a hospital to an ER, you know. And then once I got my license, they hired me on the spot. Like while I was sitting there, I'm like, oh my God, you gotta understand. Like for me, seeing my name there on the board of pharmacy with the license number, I was like, oh my God, I started crying. I was like, oh my God, this is what I've been working hard for all these years. Are you kidding me? Everybody was proud. And I was so proud. I was like, oh my God, I did it. You know?
How long did it take you for that moment to see that, and from the moment you came to New York City? What was the time frame? Was that 6 years?
Almost 3.5 years. No, 3.5 years it took me to get that license. So I had to go through what I went through.
And it probably felt like 8, but 3 years, 3.5 is not a long time. But I know what within that 3.5, it felt like more than 3 years.
It's definitely a long time. But you know what? It was worth every moment. It was worth it. I would never, you know, everything I've done, everything I've been through, what made me who I am today. Because if you didn't start from that low, you would never appreciate what you have now. Definitely. So I would never be, you know, at work, you know, and complaining about stupid stuff. you know, we all complain.
Of course,
you know, especially now with the natural stress
being
like crazy, we all complain. But I always remind myself because I know where I came from and I know where I was, you know. So for me, I don't take anything for granted. That was also a big lesson I learned here. Never, ever take anything for granted. Not your job, not your family, not, you know, your lover or whoever, your friends. You know, you don't take things for granted, period. That's it. You got to appreciate every single thing. Otherwise, you're not going to be happy. Because if you're a complainer, you're going to complain about everything. All the time. And that's not how happiness happens. You're not going to be happy.
How do you now, after having all the success and bragging rights, because you're like, yo, I did it. how do you remain humble and not let it get to your head, right? Because there's, you know, it happens, right? People go from the bottom and then easily, naturally, now you have new set of friends, maybe or whatever, and you know, you're
no, it's the same.
Their heads floating all above the
But like, how do you remain grounded? You know, or was that even a thing for you? It was like, no, I'm still the same person. Whether I
I would say the way my family raised me, we were raised right, you know, so we were already grounded all our life. You know, whether we were able to get what we wanted or not, we were always grounded. But for me personally, I'm always humble because I know what I had to do to be where I am today. It was not given to me, you know. I had to literally, you know, create that whole thing. It was not given to me. I didn't land here at GFK and somebody gave me a bag of money and said, hey, here you go. And here is the pharmacy license, you know. I worked so hard to get it. So that's why I don't take anything for granted. And I always try to keep myself humble, of course, because, you know, there is also another side of my culture where you have to be humble because you don't know when you're going to go to the bottom again.
Exactly.
You know, you can have all the money you want today and you can wake up tomorrow, God forbid, with something that you lose everything, you know, and that's not something that anybody wants, obviously, because you know, you would be really like, you know, people go from top to bottom and from bottom to top all the time, the time.
So, you know, now you told us about the journey of your profession and where you got to, how you got to that point. You know, what do you do now for fun? Because because like, you know, you've been working hard and now you gotta have time for yourself. Have you learned to like now enjoy the moments that you have to yourself, or you still like 7 days a week nonstop?
Oh no. So when I first started as a pharmacist, I was working in 2 jobs. So I got a job at Duane Reade, which is Walgreens. It was a full-time job, and I was per diem at the hospital. Just because I loved the hospital, you know, so I really enjoyed doing the ER thing. And I was working 7 days a week. It was great because you get a paycheck every week. It was amazing. But then I was like, you know what? Okay, so I got to slow down now. Life is not the same. I'm not getting paid the $5 per hour anymore. So I'm good, you know. So I started doing what I always wanted to do, traveling. I traveled so much that I was like, people were telling me, do you even have a job? You know, everybody is always look at, you know, my Facebook or whatever and like, do you work? I'm like, yes, I work. I work 9 to 9 actually. I work 9 to 9 and I work very hard in a very busy store. You saw my store, like it's so busy. You know, it's not for everybody. It's a hard job. But you know what? You work hard, you play hard. That's what it is.
What did you learn about? What did you learn about traveling? Did you learn a lot? About yourself? What, like about yourself or something?
No, I travel either with friends or I travel by myself sometimes.
No, I'm saying, did you learn something about yourself now traveling from different places and, you know, you always wanted to go?
Yeah, well, I learned a lot about other cultures, you know, because when you travel to Europe, you see things that's different than here, you know. When you travel, every time I traveled to Europe, like, I went to England so many times. I went to, you know, Greece. I went to, you know, I mean, I don't consider Brazil Europe, but I went to Brazil. I went to, you know, Prague, Vienna, all these places, Spain. And you see all these cultures. You see, you know, the similarities between my culture and their culture. You see the differences between there and here. There's so many things I noticed that, you know, it kind of made me feel like, you know what, travel is great because it teaches you a lot of things. Teach you, like, you know, a lot about other culture. Teach you a lot about yourself. Like, your characteristic, how you deal with people from other countries. Because when you travel, you would think people in New York are different than people when you go to another state.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They still the old people, but the ways they interact is different. So it it makes you, it gives you that ability to be able to interact with a lot of different cultures or even languages.
Definitely.
So for me to go to another country and speak a different language, for me that's a big deal. Just try to figure out the difference.
What they're trying to say,
It's a great experience. For me, I feel like traveling is amazing for anybody to learn a lot about yourself and a lot about others too. And that also keeps you humble, because then you realize what you have. So
what's one word that would describe how you feel about yourself, like at this point in your life?
At this point of my life, at my age, because my age, I'm considered old for Egypt because I'm turning 35, in May. So
then I'm ancient.
For Egypt, I am. Over here, it's not. But for our culture, I'm old now. I would say the one word is grateful. Very grateful.
You also have a clothing line or something like that, or
it's like t-shirts and masks.
I know I briefly looked at that. What is that like? And explain what was the idea behind it, and what is your role behind that?
Okay, so basically, I met a lot of people here, and I noticed that in America you can do a lot of things. In Egypt, the way we were raised is, you're gonna become a pharmacist, an engineer, or a doctor. That's what you're going to become. If you're not becoming these, you're a loser. That's what basically the majority tells you. So we grew up with this mentality, right? So for me to come here and ask people what they do, and I hear, I'm an actor. I'm an entrepreneur. I'm like, entrepreneur? Like, what do you do? What is that? They're like, I make things. Okay. So for me, I started having friends who started their own brand and all that. And I'm like, that's really interesting, So when COVID happened, and I got my citizenship back in March last year,
Congrats.
I was supposed to go home at that time, but the airport closed and, they were banned on travel. And all I did at this time is just, go home, go to work, come back home. That's it. That's what I'm doing. Gym is closed. Everything is closed. I lived alone. So there was even no roommate, nothing. So I started thinking, I was like, you know what? Maybe I can do this. So the idea happened so quickly. I had the idea in my head a long time, but I never implemented it, right? So I came with this idea. I was like, you know what? I love my culture. I'm so proud of my Egyptian culture and my history. I was like, why don't I do something that's history and at the same time it can work here, right? So I wanted to do a clothing line and create a collection called the Gods of Egypt, which basically... So we have 52 gods and goddesses from the old ancient Egyptian. They all come with these stories. They all have these powers and these abilities and, the story behind them. And I started doing that in June, So I started searching, watching YouTube videos, how to start your own brand and all that. And I realized it's very simple. All you have to do is pick up a website, buy the domain, start a Shopify, store. You can do anything on it. You want to start your CBD line, you can do it. You want to start your clothing line, anything, fashion, furniture, you can do whatever. You're just going to know where you're going to get the stuff and, and print and stuff like that. And then you can use a company called Printify to print your, your clothing. And it's called, the business model called POD, which is print on demand. So you never really actually carry inventory, which is very convenient. So you don't have to worry about getting stuck with the inventory because you're not carrying it.
Well, if you have anything that's the size extra large, 36, 38 waist, 36
Small,
I can always give you a free sample.
You know what I'm saying? If it's back there in your house somewhere, just remember the extra large. Stuff simple.
So that took me a month and a half to finish all the graphics and do the graphics on Fiverr's, this app. I designed all the website my own because it was pretty easy. It's pretty explanatory. Anybody can do it. Anybody.
I mean, but here, another example right now, you saw another avenue that you want to do, and let me try it, and you figured it out.
Yeah, and that's what I always tell people. You can do whatever you want to do. You just gotta take the steps. Don't give up, and you gotta realize nothing great comes easy.
Yeah.
Nothing great comes easy. you know, because when people were asking me, how did you allow yourself to like work here and do this and do that? I'm like, because the prize is great. So this is not, you know, if you want to reach that level, it's not going to be easy to get there. So what do you expect, that you're going to become a pharmacist in America? You're just going to land here and they're going to give it to you? No. Yeah. You have to work for it.
Yep.
Now, I also want to touch on, we're almost wrapping up soon, but because there's so many layers of you, I want to jump into the fitness now. When did that kick in? Because I'm like, not only is this guy like selling me shirts and he could give me a vaccine shot, but this guy can give me abs too. Yeah. Like, you know what I'm saying?
No, the fitness, I'm gonna be brutally honest with you. Okay. I was a fat kid my entire life. Okay. I hated the way I looked. I hated it. Every time I go to buy clothes, small is not my size, medium is not my size either. And I'm like stuck there like, okay, what am I gonna wear, you know? Like nothing looks good. Yeah. So, but I've never been to a gym. I've never been anywhere until I went to military, and I, you know, with the exercise and everything, I started losing a little bit of weight. And then when I moved here, I realized there's a lot of people who look really good, you know? And I started going to a gym. I started, you know, dieting. I started not eating carbohydrates for so long, you know, not eating carbohydrates all day, you know? And I started exercising, and I started seeing changes in my body, you know, and I kept doing that. I kept pushing it until literally when I was an intern, that's when my body like started changing completely. And at that time, it's just like, you have a six pack, you know, your body's improving, you feel good about yourself. I did hire a trainer when I became a pharmacist. Kevin, my trainer, he was amazing.
Nice.
He just changed my body. And I never really like imagined how it is to be having a 5% body fat. Wow. I was like, that feels good. You know, going from like 30% body fat to 5%, that feels real good. You know, you feel very, not that it has anything to do with confidence, but you really feel confident. Yeah. Okay. You know, you're not afraid to take your shirt off anywhere. Yeah. Okay. You know, not that I like to take my shirt off, but I'm saying it's like, it gives you that ability. And it also opens another door for you, because fitness here in America is really like a big deal. So I was able to like actually model for some places before. And that money was good. That was like $800 a day. That's better than pharmacy, you know, right there.
Yeah.
This guy came here with $600 in suitcase, and at the end of the day,
and a dream,
and hustle, and came out of it
a
pharmacist, fashion designer, a model, and have abs. Like
and two rats.
Well, I don't have them right now because I got a little bit weight.
But I'm like, yo, that's insane. That's a
thank you so much. You guys are great.
That's
a
great, inspiring story, brother. Like definitely is. And we're gonna go to our last segment. It's called Rapid Fire. And
Rapid Fire.
Yeah, and it's just whatever. We're gonna ask you 4 questions. Is whatever comes to you.
Rapid
you know.
Fire.
Sure.
So the first question is, what has been your biggest disappointment?
My biggest disappointment, friends who stab you in the back.
Okay.
Second question, what single thing would improve the quality of your life and money and material is not an option?
Material is not an option?
Money and material is not an option. So what single thing would make your quality of life?
The quality of your life?
A partner for life.
Nice. What do you consider your greatest achievement?
My journey. My entire journey is my greatest achievement, because it's all I have, to be honest.
And what is the most important lesson life has taught you?
Most important life lesson that I've learned is, I'd say, never put expectations on anybody, because you'll be disappointed. You know, and I would say just focus on the closest people to you. Focus on your family. Focus on people who love you unconditionally. You know, people you know they're going to be there for you. That's a big thing for me.